India is home to about 8% of the world's biodiversity, making it one of the 12 mega-diverse countries in the world. It ranks 10th in the world both in respect of the richness of flowering plants and mammals and 4th in Asia in plant diversity. This diversity can be attributed to the great variety of natural ecosystems due to the varied physical and climatic features found in India. However, today, India's biodiversity is in jeopardy due to the rise of illegal trade in wildlife. More than 1,200 cases of wildlife crime and illegal trade of animals were recorded between 2017 and 2019. India is one of the 20 countries with the highest rates of wildlife crime, which includes poaching, trade and smuggling of high-end, high-value species and products across international borders. Some of the most popularly traded animal body parts from India to the world include bear bile and claws, musk pods, pangolin scales, deer antlers, and plants which are believed to have medicinal properties like wild garlic, ginseng, Himalayan yew, costus, etc. There are many illegal trade activities that take place in India and around the world with these illegally trafficked animal and plant species.
Sir, does India lack a robust legal and policy framework to regulate and restrict wildlife trade?
Not at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Let me take you through some of these laws that regulate the trade of wild plants, animals and their products. Let's begin with the most important act, the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. It prohibits trade in over 1,800 species of wild animals, plants and their derivatives. The Act consists of 6 schedules which give varying degrees of protection to different classes of flora and fauna and protects a list of species of wild animals in the country in order to prevent environmental degradation and imbalance of ecosystems. The Act prohibits the hunting of endangered species. Species enlisted in all its schedules are prohibited from being traded as per the Act's provisions. The Act provides licenses for the sale, transfer and possession of some plant and animal species. Schedule 1 and Part 2 of Schedule 2 gets highest level of protection, and offences under these schedules attract the maximum penalties. Part 1 of Schedule 2 and Schedules 3 and 4 list fauna species prohibited for hunting and trading. Schedule 6 lists the flora species prohibited for trade. See this plant? This species is banned from trade under the CITES Convention. India has been a member of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES, since 1976. The international agreement between governments aims to ensure that the international trade in specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten their survival. The CITES offers varying degrees of protection. Over 38,700 species, including roughly 5,950 species of animals and 32,800 species of plants, are protected by CITES against overexploitation through international trade, whether they are traded as live specimens, fur coats, or dried herbs. The purpose of the convention is to control the international trade and is not detrimental to the survival of the species in the wild. CITES prohibits international trade in species that are threatened with extinction, except when the purpose of the import is not commercial. CITES in India has been assisting in stopping the illegal trade of flora and fauna. CITES also lists species like the whale shark, which in India is illegal to trade and thus extends its protection. International trade in these specimens requires countries to obtain an authorized export-import permit beforehand. In reaction to the global COVID-19 pandemic, attention has focused on the potential role of CITES to further regulate or ban various forms of the wildlife trade. Banning trade of wild animals, particularly for human consumption, means stopping the movement of zoonotic diseases, infections that can be transmitted from animals to humans. CITES has a global mandate with 183 signatory governments 45 years of experience regulating international wildlife trade, and a global system for monitoring and recording trade and for promoting efforts to combat trafficking. This mandate is binding on all its signatory parties. CITES' infrastructure, expertise and reach are unparalleled globally. And so, one thing is certain, that with proper enforcement of the Convention in its current form or with amendments to tackle new age challenges, CITES is a powerful mechanism to curb illegal trade of species that are not found in India or recognized by Wildlife Protection Act 1972. There's also the Foreign Trade Policy, which holds information regarding the wildlife and wildlife products which are either prohibited or permitted for the purpose of import or export. It also contains the conditions which include compliance with CITES governing import and export of permissible species of wildlife and wildlife products. The policies decided in consultation with CITES as far as matters relating to wild fauna and flora are concerned and are enforced through the Customs Act 1962. The Foreign Trade Policy is brought out under the provisions of the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992, and it regulates the import and export of all goods, including wildlife. Next is the EXIM Policy of 1972. Under this policy, all the species mentioned in the CITES Convention banned for trade are to be followed. The EXIM policy restricts export of wild animals, including their body parts or products. The policy regulates export of wild animals, including their body parts or products. The Customs Act 1962 provides that all items, wild fauna and flora, covered in the import and export policy will be deemed to be covered under Section 11 of this Act. As a consequence, all cases of violation of the import-export policy, including CITES, constitute an offence under the Customs Act.
Despite these strong legal acts in place, the illegal trade still continues to thrive and expand. Why?
Experts say India's biggest challenge is the implementation of laws. Due to the paucity of staff among monitoring authorities, there are many bottlenecks in ensuring efficient checks on wildlife trafficking. The penalties put in place for legal infringements do nothing to discourage illegal traders and poachers. The need of the hour really is to impart knowledge and appropriate training to enforcement officials to check the illegal trade in wildlife. WCCB advises the government and undertakes training sessions for officers from different agencies every year. It also advises the Government of India on issues relating to wildlife crimes having national and international ramifications, relevant policy and laws. It also advises the government in inspection of the consignments of flora and fauna as per the provisions of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, CITES and EXIM policy. With WCCB at the helm of a force of well-informed officers on duty, we can definitely curb wildlife crime by strictly following policies mentioned today.